3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Josh from the Raise Your Banner podcast. I want to welcome everybody in tonight. This is our first video podcast of the entire podcast, so I'm going to give it a shot. Hopefully, everything goes well. But over the last 5 or 6 weeks since we started this thing, I've had a ton of questions come in. So I really just wanted to take this first video podcast as maybe like a Q&A session. So I jotted down as a few questions, probably some of the big, heavy ones. And I thought maybe we could go through those tonight and kind of see where we go. So the first big question was, what's your background and kind of why did you start Raise Your Banner? Well, my background is mostly military. I joined the military right out of high school back in 2000. Ended up doing 22 and a half years with the Navy. Had its ups and downs. Had a pretty solid and good career, met some great people, got to do and see some great things and see some very great places around the world and some not so great places, as you can imagine. But, the military thing kind of brought me toward Raise Your Banner. Back in 2017, I was stationed at a place where we thought we were seeing some problems. And I really realized that, for somebody like me who had received help throughout his career, I was trying to think of like ways I could use that to help other people. One thing I quickly realized was like if I share my story and show that I made progress, did not affect my career, that maybe if I shared that story of my mental health journey and the non-effects it had on my career, that maybe that would help somebody. And then, my goal was can I at least reach one person? That was kind of the goal there. So back in 2017, 2018, I kind of developed some really basic training things that I ended up putting out toward other folks in the military. And I thought for the most part, it was pretty well received. I continued that throughout the rest of my career. I retired back in 2022. So kind of, just years of just talking about my journey, sharing it with other people, and imploring people to try to seek the help that they needed. And I think for the most part, like I said, it was well received and well liked. I should have started this off by saying I am not a mental health professional. I'm a layman, just like most of us out there. Probably most of you listening. I am a layman when it comes to mental health. I've had many good experiences with mental health. I've done a ton of research, but at the end, I am not a medical health provider. I'm a mental health provider. I am not a mental health expert. But with this podcast, I really just want to bring people, mental health topics. I want to bring it to the forefront. Resiliency, leadership, advocacy, all those things. I want to bring it out from kind of just the general public's point of view. The layman's point of view. Make it easy for people to understand and make it a safe place for people to want to talk to. So fast forward to now, I kind of was figuring out how can I bring that stuff I did back in the Navy out to the public? What are some of the avenues? So I ended up starting raiseyourbanner.org, which is kind of the all-encompassing home for this podcast and other events. So it was part of that, as part of the way to get Raise Your Banner out there, I decided, everybody's doing podcasts these days. Why not do it myself? So that's kind of where we're at right now with the podcast. And the goal really is to get as many people on this podcast that have the stories to tell. All right. We want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. We want you to know it is a safe place to either share your story or just a safe place to turn to. All right. You're going to see a great myriad of people on here with great stories. We got so much great stuff lined up. We've had a number of great people on already. Along with those stories, we will have, the occasional shorts. We'll just talk about general stuff like we already talked about mental health, the stigma, which is a big thing. The stigma is not going away. We will continue to talk about that probably forever. All right. Until mental health is equated to physical health in the same sense, we will continue to talk about mental health until that stigma is gone. Okay. And, like I said, the podcast is just all encompassing. I want people to have fun. I want people to come on. I want people to have a safe place to talk about their stories. And, with the goal, and I always tell people this, the goal is, hey, can we reach one person? One person can we reach and hopefully help them? That's how it worked for me. One person reached out to me at some point and said, hey, maybe you need to talk to somebody. I finally got some help, talked to somebody, and here I am, right? Who knows if what would have happened if that didn't happen? Maybe my career would have taken a different trajectory. My life would have taken a different trajectory. So that's kind of where we are. Here we are, 2024. Raise your banners alive and well, and we're going to keep on trucking here with the podcast. And if you're out there and listen to this and you want to come on, please reach out to us via our website or any of our social media avenues, and we'll be glad to talk and have you on. All right. So one of the other questions I had here is, how do I feel about mental health in its current state? I kind of just hinted at the stigma thing. The stigma is alive and well. All right. I think mental health is progressing to where it needs to be. I think it has a long way to go. It is out there, maybe not enough. There's definitely positive and negatives out there surrounding mental health. You still hear a lot of the negatives. You still hear other generations talking about, I can't talk about my problems, or I can't talk about my mental health, or I can't go and talk to somebody, things along those lines, right? You just still hear it being portrayed in the media, maybe in a negative way too. But we really need to get it to a point where, like I said earlier, it is on an equal wavelength as physical health. That's kind of how I look at it. And I think one of the avenues to get there is just, we have to talk about it. We have to keep it on the forefront. We have to make it a simple thing to talk about. And while it's not a simple thing to deal with, it is a simple thing to talk about. We need to make it a normal and simple thing that we talk about every day. Just as simple. If I fell down the stairs and broke my leg, it should be just as simple to talk about. I went to the psychiatrist today or the psychologist today and talked about some issues. That's where we need to be. And I kind of feel like that's where we're at. All right. We're progressing toward the better. We're definitely not there yet. And I think as a team here, we can all make it worthwhile. Another question was, what are some of the ways I was able to fight through that stigma for myself and some of the teams I worked on? The biggest thing, and I've read a number of books about it, and I think Brene Brown, her book has really resonated well with me. I'm sorry the name is escaping me. I'll put it in the comments. But her book about vulnerability really struck a chord. And it dawned on me that was one of the ways I was very successful in helping some of my fellow military people fight through that stigma, and even myself, right? I realized when I saw other people being vulnerable about their own problems, it really kind of brought it down to a level for me that I could understand, and then also made me realize that, okay, if this person's being vulnerable, maybe I can be vulnerable too and go talk to somebody. And I think once I started sharing my stories with folks, I think, and showing that I was vulnerable, even though, I was in this senior leadership position, I had progressed well in my career, but here I am, can still be vulnerable, can share my stories, and really, try to break down that stigma. So I think the vulnerability part is key. If you're a leader out there and you want to make a dent in your team's mental health stigma, and you want to make a dent in that stigma in your corporation or your group, your friends, your family, be vulnerable. If you got a short story to tell it. Okay, people want to know that you got help, so hopefully they can get help too. All right, that's probably one of the biggest things I would say helped me. But right along with it, it's just talk, be there for people. Okay, you always joke, you always hear, well, I have an open door policy. Come in and whatever you want. But do you really? Do you really have an open door policy? Is it just a cliche? Make it a point to get out and talk to your family, your friends, your teams, your coworkers, anything. You got to get out of the office. You got to get out from behind the desk. You got to walk around. And the funny thing you'll see when you start doing that, and you tell people who have an open door policy, they will come to you. They will talk to you more. Whether they talk to you when you're roaming around the hallways and roaming around the offices, or they'll come to your office at 4 p.m. on a Friday night to vent and ask for help. You will see the more you're outside of your office and just talking to your folks and talking to your family and talking to your friends, the more you do that, the more it'll help and it'll really break down that stigma. So, like I said, vulnerability and just getting out there and talking to people are two of the bigger things I think we can really use to fight through the stigma. And the third, kind of like what I hinted earlier, we just got to keep the mental health discussion going. All right, the positive sides of it, make it a positive thing, equate it to physical health. Make sure we're talking about it in every aspect of our lives, making sure people know that it's okay to get help. All right, and the last part of that is making people or making sure that you are projecting a I lost my train of thought here. What I'm trying to say, folks, but um, you want to be a comforting kind of beacon of hope for people to come to you, right? Raise your banner. One of the things I say is raise your banner if you're asking for help, and then raise your banner if you're somebody that somebody can turn to for help, right? Well, if you're um, kind of a tyrant leader or you're an angry person all the time or you're closed off, it's going to be really hard for people, your folks or your family to come and turn to you, right? You want to be that comforting voice in the crowd. You want to be that comforting leader. You want to be that vulnerable leader that people can turn to. All right, it's really easy to be, all kinds of, there's all kinds of different leadership out there. There's no golden key for what type of leader should be. There's a plenty of cheat sheets. There's plenty of ways people tell you to lead, but the easy part of it is just you have to be vulnerable, you have to be compassionate, you have to be caring, and you literally have to open yourself up to letting people talk to you. You have to project that to your folks. They will turn to you. All right, be that beacon of hope. Be that banner that gets raised when people are asking for help. And so that's 3 or 4 easy, quick ways that I think you can help break through the stigma. For future episodes, we're definitely going to talk about the stigma. The stigma, like I said earlier, the stigma is not going away. It'll be a big thing for future episodes, and we will continue to harp on ways to break down those barriers and break down the stigma. So, hey, leave it in the comments. I want to hear people's reaction. I want to hear the way people have also broken down stigmas in their lives or in their workplaces. I'd love to hear it. I'd love for some feedback. This is a big team effort for everybody here. So the more ideas we have, the more ideas we can share, the better. And the last kind of question I have for today is, somebody asked, what would you tell someone who is hesitant to go to a therapist or seek mental health help? At first I would say it's not an easy decision. And people might say, well, it seems to be an easy decision, but it really isn't, right? For me, the first time, it took me years to finally go talk to someone. And besides the stigma, it just, there was a lot of, reasoning in my head of why not to go, career suicide, uh, um, is it going to affect my family? Is it going to affect my career? Is it going to affect, A, B, C, D, E, F, what are the consequences of going to talk to somebody? Does it make me a weak person? I still, growing up, to me, that, going to talk to somebody like that might be a sign of weakness. Well, guess what, folks? It ain't. All right. So if you're hesitant to go, all right, do your research. I would say first. I think research when it comes to medical stuff helps. Maybe there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube of people talking to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. For me, sometimes seeing things and sometimes seeing other people deal with things and seeing how a process works really helps. So I'd say maybe that's one thing. Secondly, I'd say reach out. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. I know that can be a tough one, right? You don't maybe want to put out there that you want to go talk to somebody. But the reality is, one of those people you're going to reach out to probably already has talked to somebody. And they're going to tell you the benefits of going to see somebody. But the reality is, in the end, if you are hesitant, look, it is just a medical appointment, all right? You're not going to, it doesn't mean you're not going to get committed to a hospital. It doesn't mean you're going to go on medication. You're just going to go and talk to somebody and let them be the sounding board for you to vent, all right? That's, step one. It's a person to talk to and hopefully open up an avenue for you to seek some help. You've got to think of it just like going to, your doctor for an ailment. You know, you fall, like I said earlier, you fall downstairs, break your leg, you're going to go to the doctor. You might go to the ER in that case, but maybe something smaller. All right, let's say you've been sick for a few days and you're going to go to your primary care. Think of it in those simplest of terms. You know, I'm going to go talk to a psychologist or a social worker or a psychiatrist to get some work, to do some mental health work. I need some mental health work. It isn't necessarily a huge deal to do that, right? But I get the hesitation. I get that it's maybe a different thing or a strange thing or a hard thing to do. Trust me, I've been there. I've been seeing somebody, psychological professionals since probably 2000, early or late 2000s, 2010, 12, somewhere in there. Okay, it is still tough for me to go to my appointments to this day, and I could be the poster child of the positivity of seeking mental health counseling and mental health treatment. But at the same time, it's still tough for me to go. I'm still hesitant to go. I'm still hesitant to talk about my problems. But in the end, it is, trust me when I say it's a beneficial process. Trust me when I say it's a good thing to do. Um, if you're hesitant, reach out. Find that person that's you can talk to. Find that person that'll go with you. I've had friends that have seek my advice about going, and I've offered, and then maybe you go, maybe your friend that you turn to will go with you to sit in the waiting room. All right, they're not going to be able to go in there and talk to the psychologist with you or the social worker, but maybe it's just as easy that friend or the family member going with you to the appointment. All right, or like I said, just reach out to somebody if you're really hesitant. Find somebody that you can confide in that maybe you can turn to, and they can make you feel better about going. But in the end, you kind of got to overcome some of those fears as best you can and just go. All right, that's all I would tell you all. There's plenty of avenues out there, plenty of resources. Reach out to us if you're hesitant. Reach out to me. I will gladly talk to you. I enjoy talking about this stuff, and I enjoy helping people out. But I'll end with this. It's kind of a short one today, and I hope this helped answer some of these questions. We love the questions, so keep the questions coming. I look forward to quite the we over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we got a ton of questions. I just kind of picked out 3 or 4 here that I thought would be helpful to everybody. But I really hope I reach some folks today. I would ask you to subscribe, listen on any platform you want, Apple, Spotify. We got the YouTube videos now. Please reach out to us if you got a story to share. We want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. You all are the important cog in this piece of getting mental health on the forefront, breaking through that stigma, and just getting help for all of us, right? We're all in this, like I said earlier, we're all in this together. If you can help one person, reach one person, that is the goal here. Please reach out to us. Look us up, like I said, on all our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have the website, raiseyourbanner.org. That's probably the easiest place to go to, and then you can link to all our other things like that. But again, thanks for sticking around this week. We love to hear from you. We love the fact that you're all listening in, and we'll bring some great episodes. I got 3 or 4 great episodes planned the next month or so. Some great folks coming on, talking about more mental health topics, talking about Parkinson's disease, and talking about some veterans issues that we're all facing these days. So great topics coming down the pipe. We look forward to all our listeners tuning in, and we look forward to all you folks reaching out to us with your stories to share. So signing off tonight here from Washington, D.C. Looking forward to the next episode. And like I said before, stick around, stay tuned, and don't forget, raise your banner if you're needing help, and then raise your banner if you're somebody that somebody can turn to. And till next time, we'll see you. See you again.
Raise your banner if you need help, and raise your banner, let others know you're a safe person to turn to. Until next time, stick around and keep on moving forward. Research conducted by Matrixa Research Group. Artwork created by Jenna Bordinger at jbordingerart.com or at jbordinger_art on Instagram. And music by Josiah Renton, DJ Slowbro.